is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to episode 85 of the Be Greyt podcast. On today's episode, we got week 7, right? Do I have that right? Yes, week 7 preview. Got 10 picks coming up. But first, oh, I can't help but laugh. I have to acknowledge a comment on my last video. A few episodes ago, I talked about a commenter. I think it was episode 81, 82, something like that. It was before the Penn State Oregon game, where I had someone comment about how, Penn State, if you think Penn State's losing, you're delusional. Drew Allen's going to throw for 300 yards, this, that, and the other. Well, I got a comment from this person again on the last episode. I'm starting to think that this is a person I know in real life and they're trolling me. I am starting to feel that way. Because I want to have faith in humanity that there's no one that is this stupid. But I'm going to go at this with the mindset that this is actually a legit Penn State fanboy who is for some reason wanting to come to my comment section of all things and just sell their soul to Penn State and Drew Aller. I'll read the comment. This was on my last episode where I clowned Drew Aller and Penn State. He or she, let me be fair, he or she says, "Watch your mouth, buddy, before I come down to Athens and give you a piece of this knuckle sandwich. One bad game doesn't make you a bad program. We lost one, but we will be back. We will go to the shoe and dominate Ohio State and then come back and take the Hoosiers' soul. This season is not over. You're a jackass. We are dogs." Can we be for real for a second here? First of all, I don't live in Athens. That's number one. That's number one. So clearly this person isn't super knowledgeable of me. So maybe it's not someone I know in real life, considering they said they were going to come down to Athens and I don't live there. Let's break this down piece by piece. Watch my mouth. That's never going to happen. Give you a piece of this knuckle sandwich. That's the part that makes me feel like this is trolly, but I'm going to go at it with the mindset that this person's dead serious, because I think that's more fun. One bad game doesn't make you a bad program. That's true. Only problem is you've had 2 bad losses in a row. We lost 1. You've lost 2. But we will be back. No, you won't. Maybe to the Pop-Tarts Bowl or something. We will go to the shoe and dominate Ohio State. Lie. And then come back and take the Hoosiers' soul. That's Indiana, for anyone wondering. Also a lie. This season is not over. Your season's over. It's buried 6 feet under. You're a jackass. Probably true. We are dogs. No, that would be UGA. Again, this could be someone I know in real life who's just trying to troll me. Which, if that's the case, they did a good job on the first comment. I thought that was legit. But this one feels more trolly. But it makes me think it's trolly because of the knuckle sandwich part and the fact that they got their facts wrong. It says one bad game doesn't make you a bad program. Buddy, you commented this on on Monday's episode after you just lost to UCLA. That's 2 losses in a row. What do you mean one bad game? We lost 1, but we will be back. You've lost 2. That's what makes me think this is someone trying to troll me, because the facts are just out of whack here. But that's okay. It's okay. I am here to provide you with ball knowledge. So whether you're trolling me or not, maybe you'll leave with some ball knowledge by the end of it. Okay? Maybe you'll leave knowing more about college football. Okay, maybe you'll leave not falling for the bait anymore, the bait from Penn State. The Penn State bums, as I call them. But let's get to more important things, like game picks. Alabama versus Missouri is what we're going to start off with. Look, I have morals. I have values. I can admit where I've messed up. I've picked against Alabama the past 2 weeks, and I've been wrong the past 2 weeks. Well, you know what? I think third time's a charm. Give me Missouri to beat Alabama. I love Bo Prabula. Once again, the better of the Penn State quarterbacks that Penn State let walk right out the door. Missouri had a bye this past week. Missouri's at home. They're a really good football team. They're a dangerous football team. I think they beat Alabama this week. Alabama has had two high priority games for them the past 2 weeks. I could see a little come down to earth this week. Give me the Missouri Tigers to beat Alabama. Ohio State, Illinois. I'm going to keep this simple. This is Ohio State. I think Illinois is a solid football team. Okay, I was impressed with how they played against USC. I was surprised they won that game against USC. They're not winning this game. Do I think they'll get blown out the way they did against Indiana? No. I think they showed up and they kind of just got caught off guard, and it was just downhill from there. I think this game they'll come ready to play, understanding who they're up against, and I think they'll play a lot better than they did against Indiana, but by no means do I think they will win this game. You know how I feel about Illinois. I think they're massively overrated. I think Altmaier is massively overrated. I think Bielema also massively overrated. So give me Ohio State. Georgia, Auburn. I'm going Georgia. Auburn just simply has not been good against Georgia for the past 7 years. Georgia's just had their number, and I just don't think not Alabama. I don't think Auburn is a good enough football team. If you are one dimensional, which Auburn kind of is, then you're going to have a hard time beating actually good football teams. So give me Georgia to get the win against Auburn. Florida, Texas A&M. Look, I was impressed with what I saw from Florida against Texas, but I think that was more of a symptom of Texas just not being very good. I think it's more of a symptom of Arch Manning being terrible. I just don't think Texas is a very good football team this year, and I think Florida was able to take advantage of that coming off a bye at home. This game, you're on the road at a hostile environment in Texas A&M. Texas A&M is playing good football. I think they're ranked number 5 in the nation, and I think Texas A&M gets it done here against Florida. I could see it being a very close game though. Oklahoma, Texas. This was a hard one to pick because of the whole John Mateer situation. I don't love Oklahoma nearly as much if John Mateer doesn't play. Look, simply, if John Mateer plays, I think Oklahoma wins. I don't see, with the way Texas played last week, I do not see how they could win this game. Oklahoma is a better football team than Florida is, and this is a rivalry game. But honestly, even without John Mateer, I feel like I give the edge to Oklahoma. I think Venables and that defense can find a way to really mess with Arch and really make him struggle more than he has been. And I think Oklahoma's going to get the win here. Kansas, Texas Tech. Give me Texas Tech. Texas Tech is playing really good football. I feel like they're on their way to a playoff spot and winning that Big 12 championship. Utah doesn't seem nearly as good as them this year. Iowa State had a terrible loss against Cincinnati last week. Kansas has been a solid football team this year, just not nearly as good as Texas Tech. Colorado's been irrelevant. TCU has been up and down. Arizona State also very up and down. I think it's Texas Tech's conference to lose, and I just think they're going to run away with this. South Carolina, LSU, both teams coming off a bye. Give me LSU to pick up the dub here. I really need to see something from this offense this week. You had a whole bye week to kind of figure things out offensively. You need to come out, you need to score a lot of points, and you need to dominate this South Carolina team that simply is not very good at all. Okay, that's what I want to see from LSU. That's what I want to see from Garrett Nussmeier. That's what I want to see from Brian Kelly. Arizona State, Utah. This one's a hard one to pick. Two very up and down teams this year. It seems like whenever Utah plays a really good opponent, they struggle. but I'm going to go Utah here. They're at home. I'm not really a believer in Arizona State this year. I picked Utah to be in the Big 12 championship. I still feel like they can get there. I feel like they have the team to get there. So give me Utah to beat Arizona State at home. Indiana, Oregon. This one is interesting. I'm picking Oregon to win. They're at home, going from coast to coast. It is typically a hard thing to do. You saw it with Ohio State going to Oregon last year. You just saw it with Penn State going to UCLA. You saw it with USC going to Illinois. I think that this is going to be a win for Oregon. I do not believe in Indiana. I think they're a good football team. I don't think they're a great football team. I really like this Oregon team. I love how Dante Moore is looking and how he's playing. I love Isaiah World, their tackle. The defense is playing really well. I think Oregon is a great and a very consistent football team right now. So give me Oregon to beat Indiana. USC versus Michigan. I'm going USC. I can't stand Michigan. People, as the weeks go by, you're starting to see media people more high on Michigan. Michigan has looked terrible even in the games they've won. Okay, they're going to face an actual good football team here in USC. They're having to crowd. I cannot talk. They're having to travel across the country to play them. USC is going to look to bounce back this week. I think they beat Michigan. I think they beat Michigan handedly. I just don't think this Michigan team is very good. I love Mekhi Lemon, the wide receiver for USC. And give me USC to pick up the dub here against Michigan. Those are the 10. I feel good about these picks. I'm not going to lie. I feel like I can go a solid 9-1, 8-2 this week, just depending on how some things fall. If Missouri and Oklahoma win, I'll feel very good about these picks. I also don't like it for Alabama that Missouri game's at noon. That's just a sneaky one, let me tell you. It's a sneaky one. Georgia always struggles when they go play at Missouri. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is. One other thing I want to address, I saw a video. I had yelled about Joel Klatt on Monday, about how he had ranked Penn State at 1 in the preseason. Well, I saw a video from Joel Klatt last night, ironically, where he's looking at the top 25 and he says, you know what I see at the bottom end of this top 25? Just a bunch of bad SEC teams. Joel, look, I understand that the Big Ten is like your whole shtick and it's like your personality, right? Like the Big Ten is basically your entire personality, but that doesn't mean you have to be a complete moron and sell yourself out. Okay, that's like it's absolutely ridiculous to say something like that. And then, by the way, he goes shortly after that and says, Florida, they might, they're a really good football team. And I'm like, yeah. And I mean, who exactly is he talking about? He's talking what, Vanderbilt, who's 5-1, who absolutely blitzed Virginia Tech, who destroyed South Carolina, who had a close competitive matchup against Alabama. Let's not forget that last season, people praised Indiana for keeping it close against their only hard competition in Ohio State. Let's not forget that. Who else you talking about? Missouri? Missouri's 5-0. Undefeated. They're about to play Alabama, so we're about to learn everything we need to know. Well, you talking about Tennessee? Yeah, Tennessee struggled with Mississippi State. Yeah, they lost to Georgia at home. Tennessee is a good football team, and they're going to give Alabama everything. They're going to give Alabama a hard time. And who exactly do you want to be in here, Joel? Who? What Big Ten garbage do you want in this top 10? Top 25. Who's missing? Let's go look. Let's go look at the Big Ten football standings. Let's go look at who he has to be talking about here. So we know Indiana's ranked, Ohio State ranked, Oregon, Michigan sucks, by the way, and they're ranked. So you really have nothing to say. Nebraska, Nebraska is terrible. Nebraska is garbage. Dylan Raiola looks exactly the same now as he did when he first came to college in his first start. He looks like the same person. Washington, whose offense looked absolutely anemic against Ohio State at home. Who else? Penn State, who just lost 2 in a row, one to UCLA. Who else we talking about, Joel? Who else? Is USC ranked? USC's not ranked. I can understand USC being ranked, to be fair. I can understand that. I think USC is a good team. Playoff team, different story. But I think they're realistically, there's really only 3 playoff teams in the Big Ten that are worthy of it. That's Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon. Illinois is overrated, and they're about to lose again this week. Indiana is about to get their first loss. Ohio State and Oregon are playoff teams, 100%. And the bottom half of this league is simply disgusting. UCLA, terrible. Northwestern, terrible. Rutgers, terrible. Michigan State, mediocre. Iowa still has no offense. Minnesota hasn't had an offense in a decade. Maryland, completely overrated. Completely haven't played anyone of substance. They just choked, actually, to Washington. Choked. In typical Maryland fashion. Who else? Wisconsin, garbage. Purdue, trash. I don't want. I just think this whole SEC versus Big Ten stuff is just it's garbage. It's garbage. Anyone who has a brain and eyeballs knows the SEC is the better conference. Yes, the Big Ten can win a natty here and there because Ohio State's always going to be a really good team. Oregon will always be a really good team. Michigan, might win one once every 20 years, if that. When they cheat, by the way. But I would take Kentucky over Purdue any day of the week. Any day of the week. I would take Kentucky over Wisconsin any day of the week. And Kentucky is genuinely awful. I would take Arkansas over Purdue over Northwestern. Mississippi State would beat Purdue and Northwestern by at least 2 touchdowns. So would Auburn. Auburn would annihilate both of them. So can we not play this game? Can we not play this game, Joel? Just go commentate your stupid Big Noon kickoff game that no one cares about. Nobody. What's the Big Ten? What's the Big Noon kickoff game this week? Anyone know? Let me see if I can find it. It actually might be a good one this week because Ohio State, Illinois. In theory, that's a good game, but we all know what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. Ohio State is going to win. Ohio State's probably going to dominate. Last week, wasn't it Michigan, Wisconsin, that garbage? I mean, who wants to watch that? Nobody. Nobody who wants to watch that. Anyways, that was my weekly Joel Klatt rant because I can't. He's so disingenuous, and it's just him and Danny Cannell. I mean, I just can't stand either one of them. An ACC homer and a Big Ten homer. I just cannot do it with either one of them. They're so ridiculous. Anyways, that has been the Be Great Podcast, episode 85. I hope everyone has a tremendous Thursday. I hope everyone has a tremendous weekend of college football and NFL football, whoever you support. I hope your team does fantastic, unless that team is the Auburn Tigers, respectfully. And yeah, don't forget to go out there and be great.